Oh, hello there. I didn't see. I didn't think you were actually going to click on this one. What's up, everybody? Brian Fritz of Network 126. I know the intro music was way too loud on the first one when I was announcing my Road Trek introduction series. What's up, Carl Kessel? All right, tonight we're going to be talking about how I was actually pretty surprised how much I was able to find out about this, about how sweat and heat mixed with masks, and they're just a terrible combination. I mean, I could have told anyone that a long time ago, but apparently there's some articles about it, so we're going to be going over that. Those of you guys in the comments following along, this is going to be a fun one. I know some of you guys just love it when I talk about masks. I haven't done enough mask videos, I feel like. So I feel like I got to do more. So I've got about a handful of articles here pulled up about, talking about how sweat and just having a damp cloth on your face is unhealthy and can restrict your ability to breathe. I mean, who would have thunk? Jeez. Oh my God, I swear. So anyway, summer heat, humidity will be a problem when wearing COVID-19 masks outdoors, say experts. I guess that means no duh, no shit. You think? Oh man. Soaring temperatures and thick, humid air can cause breathing difficulties for a number of people as summer approaches each year. Add a cloth face mask to the equation, and those problems can be further exacerbated. With southern Ontario and Quebec experiencing their first heat wave of the season this week, health experts say it's best to ditch the mask when walking around outside. Jeez. Like, such a no-brainer. I mean, the fact that it even has to be written in an article like this and written out, hold on, caller, hold on. Just give me a minute to go over this, and then maybe I'll take some calls afterwards within the same stream. I mean, I'm just trying to get a lot of, venting a lot of shit off my chest, and because I'm just so riled up and burned up about this mask situation, and some people still don't seem to get how I was literally being forced to suffocate like I was being waterboarded. And you'll see in a minute somebody else. Wait, do I still have that tab? Oh no, don't wait. Where is that tab? Oh, I hope I still have it up, because my computer crashed earlier. So, oh shit. Okay, I hope I still have it up somewhere. If not, I might have to look it up again. But yeah, so anyway, back to the article. I'm just jumping all around all over the place because, like I was just saying, I'm just so passionate and burned up about this whole mask situation, and it's just anyway. So let me see. So just to recap real quick, health experts say it's best to ditch the mask when walking around outside. In case you need to be reminded of that part. When you're breathing through a mask, you're having to work a little bit harder to breathe in the first place, especially depending on how thick your mask is, said Dr. David Price, chair of the Department of Family Medicine at McMaster University in Hamilton. And then the other thing is you're rebreathing some of your air, so it's heating it up a little bit. So you've got not only the heat on the outside, but now you've got the heat inside the mask too. Environment Canada says on its website that heat warnings are issued when high temperature or humidity conditions are expected to pose an elevated risk of heat illnesses such as heat stroke or heat exhaustion. And need I not remind you, for those of you guys who don't know, I do live in California, in Southern California, and pretty much everywhere around me is on fire right now. Like I can look out the window, well, more so during the day, and there's just this ominous, kind of orangish, brownish haze just hanging in the air, and then even at night, it makes the moon look the really eerie, just ominous color. So anyway, like it's bad out here. What I'm trying to say, basically. So and we are in a heat wave here in Southern California right now. It's been like 112, 113, 114 degrees. I've been having the AC is running right now as I speak. In fact, just I'm gonna turn that off for right now because I feel okay right now. I can go a little bit before I start sweating again, but yeah, um, 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 yeah, it's just been that hot, guys. Like I really don't want to be running the AC that much, and especially because every time I run it, I'm risking blowing the fuse for the house, for all the bedrooms here, and that's the end of my live stream. And then you guys are like, hey, it says it's buffering. Hey, where are you? Hello. That's what happened last time. So I'm not trying to go through that again. That's why I just turned that off, because that could literally happen at any time when that AC is running. But like I said, it's so hard to be without it because I turn it off, and before you know it, I start sweating again. So we're going through the same shit, basically, that this article is talking about in Canada. It says temperatures in Toronto. Let me start that over. Temperatures in Toronto were expected to reach 31 degrees Celsius Tuesday and feel like 39 with humidex. So for those of you guys who are not fluent in Celsius like I am, I already did the calculation there. That's 87.8 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I mean, it's not that hot, but it's pretty warm. Can you just imagine, being one of these essential workers right now, trying to work in 114 degree heat with a mask? Fuck that. I'm glad I don't work at Amazon. I'm glad they fucking fired me. Fuck. Jeez. I would not. No. 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 A million times no. Article continues, says, Price says those with asthma, chronic obstructive lung disease, or emphysema are at further risk of breathing problems when the high temperatures, humidity, and air pollution converge to make the air more dense. Kids, who are typically at greater risk than adults for dehydration and heat illness, should also avoid wearing masks outdoors, unless they are sick and going to be in close contact with someone else, Price added. Wearing a mask in humid conditions can cause more problems than just difficulty breathing, though. It's really unhealthy to wear a mask for prolonged periods because it collects bacteria and bacteria proliferate, said Colin Furness, an epidemiologist at the University of Toronto. And the warmer and more moist the environment is, the happier the bacteria are to multiply. Yay! Bacteria party! Bacteria party right in your face. Oh God, the trolls are gonna love to mix that up. It's just more, more views for me, more AdSense revenue for me. So thanks, stupid trolls. Furness says masks should be reserved for indoor use in places such as in grocery stores when it's harder to keep a physical distance. In potentially crowded indoor areas without air circulation, like a non-air conditioned public transit, for example, Furness suggests wearing a mask for the duration of the ride, but taking it off once you get back outdoors. And if you find yourself in a crowded park where distance becomes harder to maintain, like some in Toronto did last weekend, Furness says, just leave. If we're outside, regardless of weather, we should be staying more than 6 feet away and holding and avoiding situations when we can't, he said. I don't want anyone thinking that wearing a mask is a substitute for physical distancing. It isn't. So anyway, the point is pretty much made, but I got more articles here. Here's another one. Exercising in a mask can be uncomfortable but safe. Here's why experts recommend it. See, I'm just trying to show all sides here. I've been kind of busy, looking up all these things because I'm trying to bring you guys quality content too. So, thumbs up for that. Can I get a thumbs up? It says back in April, to slow the spread of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, advised Americans to use cloth face masks in public where social distancing measures are difficult to maintain. And as gyms begin to open up around the country, some are deciding, based on location, whether or not to require face masks indoors. In terms of outdoor workouts like running, as long as you don't think you'll be in close proximity to people, then it's okay to go without a face mask. But the WHO has continued to advise against working out in a mask at all, saying it can affect the way you breathe. Shocker. WHO posted a graphic on Instagram on June 16th. I actually haven't opened this one. Let's see what this one's about. Oh, look at that right there. Let's go full screen on that. People should not wear masks when exercising, as masks may reduce the ability to breathe comfortably. Sweat can make the mask become wet more quickly, which makes it difficult to breathe and promotes the growth of microorganisms. The important preventative measure during exercise is to maintain physical distance of at least 1 meter from others. It says so right there, straight from the WHO. I mean, come on. I didn't even click on that before I was reviewing this article for this video, so there you go. So it says, then follow this up with a short video on August 3rd. Oh, should I click on that one? Let's see. I didn't even see this one yet either. Let's cut the audio on for that. Let's see what this is about. So it's pretty much all the same information. Yeah, it's everything I just pretty much just read right now. They just put it in video format. So anyway, you guys get the point. It says, 2 experts we spoke to disagree, arguing that masks are essential when you're in close proximity to other people during exercise. Many factors come into play, so let's break it down. See, not even the experts agree on this shit. Literally. I mean, and then, there's already so much tension and drama and people losing their jobs over this shit and people wanting to bite each other's heads off, but not even the experts can agree on this shit. So, I mean, really. What's up, IRC Bully? I'll get to the comments after this, sorry. So, what is WHO saying about working it out with face masks? When Pop Sugar reached out to WHO for further comment, it said wet masks from sweat and moisture have increased resistance to airflow. Really? You don't say. Wet masks are also more likely to restrict breathing or take in air where the seal to the face is not strong, the sides, top, or bottom of the mask, rather than through the intended filtering layers. Again, shocker, a spokesperson explained via email. This is the rationale in our recommendation that exercise activities should be performed without the use of a mask, as a mask, whether fabric or medical, is more likely to become wet with exhaled breath and sweat during strenuous activity, and subsequently may either restrict breathing or become ineffective as a filter. Again, shocker. Shocker, big shocker. God, this world is just so... I don't even have the words. Anyway, additionally, if a crowded indoor space within an area where there is widespread community transmission of COVID-19 is using fabric or medical masks as a primary infection prevention strategy and is not attempted to implement a comprehensive mitigation approach through a combination of administrative or engineered controls, then it is not a strategy endorsed by WHO. And I'll just kind of skip ahead here because there's a lot to get to. Is it safe to work out with a face mask on? The concern about masks making it difficult to breathe during workouts is legitimate. Lena Miyakawa, MD, a pulmonologist and assistant professor in the Department of Medicine at Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, told Pop Sugar exercising with a face covering will most likely make those workouts harder. Then it is definitely a period of acclimation, I think, with people wearing masks and exercising, but the human body is adaptable, and so people have a tough time in the beginning, she said. So anyway, you guys, there's more to this, and it just, it says why some experts suggest working out with a face mask. I just hate so much. It just boils me up so much inside because, it's one thing to say that, oh, the human body is adaptable. Well, it's another thing to try working in a hot warehouse for 10 hours a night, night after night after night, and nothing's getting any easier. It's just, it's the same shit, same story every night, broken record kind of thing. As I explained it, those brain dead, stupid people in the HR office at Amazon. It's just the same old broken record every day, but they didn't get it. But it's just so frustrating, and it just triggers me deep down inside. The fact that I lost basically my livelihood and an ability to have a good life because I refuse to suffocate in a stupid mask. But anyway, there's more to get to here. So it says it's important to note that the suggestion to wear a face mask while working out isn't based on science, since that's 100% proven. Rather, it is based on reports that support the recommendation of face coverings due to the spread of COVID-19 through respiratory droplets and other reports that suggest situations where exercising with people could put you more at risk. Well, yeah, that's probably why we're getting so many cases blowing up at like every Amazon facility, because everyone's like breathing so hard. And then for those of us who sweat a lot, the air isn't going through the filtered, material layers, and it's coming out everywhere else, just shooting around willy-nilly, all around, hanging around in the air for like up to an hour, I've heard. And then everyone else is breathing that in, and they're huffing and puffing because they're working hard too. Well, that's how it spreads. The masks aren't going to fix this. Fuck. Oh, these people, man, they just don't get it. Oh, man. So anyway, let me get some water real quick. Big thumbs up if you're with me so far. I just got to vent, and there's articles out here supporting my stance on this shit. Anyway, but basically there's some people trying to push for why it's perfectly fine to work out in a face mask and blah, 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 and that the body's adaptable and all this shit. We'll try doing it for 10 hours straight a night, like I said, and for all those stupid trolls who are going to try to argue with me yet again, who just still don't get it. And it says, if you're working out in a mask, consider using cloth. Another, why don't you try a different mask suggestion? Oh, fuck. Dr. Miyakawa has said that medical-grade masks should still be saved for medical professionals, and there are exercise-type material that is more quick-drying you might want to try. Companies like Under Armour and Adidas come out with masks of their own. Ones made from cloth, she said, are more breathable. However, you may be trading effectiveness for breathability. So they're just, it's a no-win scenario. Fuck, the human body isn't designed to have these stupid things on our faces. I'm sorry, it's just not. My cat agrees with me. When I try to put that mini mask on her face, she wouldn't tolerate that shit either. So come on. It's just, we're not meant to have that shit on our faces. Fuck. Takeaways to remember about working out with face masks. The next time you're going to work out and wondering whether or not you should wear a face mask, remember these key takeaways based on what we've discussed. Consider where you're working out. Will you be indoors or outdoors? Will you be in contact with people or in the general vicinity of them when you're working out? Remember that it's a good rule of thumb and social etiquette to wear face masks when social distancing isn't doable. Follow what your gym's guidelines are if you're working out there. If masks are required, wear one. God. You generally don't have to wear a mask if you're working out outdoors away from other people. Use caution and know that if you're uncomfortable, you can take breaks, change out your mask, or stop your workout. Listen to your body. While at Amazon, you can't just stop working. That's not an option. Talk to your doctor if you have lung or heart conditions, or if you want to get more guidance on exercising with the face masks. This is so fucking ridiculous. God. Anyway, that's that. Here's another one. Is it safe to wear a coronavirus face mask while exercising? Working out while wearing a mask is generally safe, one physical therapist says. At the start of the coronavirus epidemic in the U.S., home workouts became increasingly popular as gyms across the country shuttered in an effort to prevent the spread of the deadly virus. One survey even found out that some 24% of Americans plan to ditch the gym altogether, even once the pandemic is considered over, citing safety concerns. But with gyms gradually reopening in some places and with fitness fanatics choosing to break a sweat outdoors in states that require face masks in public, some may be wondering, is it safe to wear a face mask while exercising? The WHO actively advises against wearing a mask while working out, saying that doing so may reduce the ability to breathe comfortably. Sweat can make the mask become wet more quickly, which makes it difficult to breathe and promotes the growth of microorganisms. The important preventative measure during exercise is to maintain a physical distance of at least 1 meter, 6 feet from others, it states. Still, at least one popular gym chain, Planet Fitness, announced this week that anyone working out in the gyms will be required to wear a face mask at all times beginning August 1st. Company CEO Chris Rondeau said the policy will affect all of the company's 1,450 locations in North America and Australia that are open to the public. Gyms are part of the solution and a key element of the healthcare delivery system, providing much-needed access for people to exercise and stay healthy, he said. Given our leadership position within the industry, we believe it's our responsibility to further protect our members, employees, and communities so that we can all safely focus on our health, which is more important now than ever before. To find out more about the health effects of working out in a face mask, Fox News spoke to Jacqueline Fulop, a board-licensed physical therapist with over 10 years of clinical practice in sports medicine and orthopedic rehab and owner of Exchange Physical Therapy Group. And there's a whole thing, says it, Fox News, is working out in a face mask generally safe? And Fulop says, working out in a mask is generally safe, especially during low-impact exercises. Yeah, low impact, like walking or moderate weightlifting. Stationary exercises are more conductive in working out in a mask versus going out for a run, running on a treadmill, or an intense bike ride. Yeah, so, and let me see. Well, there's a few of these. I guess I can read through a few of them. Says, I hate these stupid intrusive ads. Fox News says, what happens to your body when you exercise with a face mask on? Fulop says, when you exercise with a mask on, you are ultimately decreasing the flow of air to your lungs, which can become dangerous if you overdo the workout or don't take enough breaks. Essentially, you're inhaling carbon dioxide due to heavy breaths getting trapped in the mask cloth, preventing fresh air from getting in. Fox News says, what can people expect when working out with a face mask on? Phillips says, when working out with a mask, people can expect to feel exhaustion quicker than they usually would without a mask. People can expect to feel exhaustion quicker than they usually would without a mask. It's not because I was out of shape, as some of these stupid trolls kept trying to push for a while. You just don't understand. We're not designed to have a mask on our faces, especially while doing strenuous shit like working like a slave for Jeff Bezos. Come on now. It says it's important to listen to the body, and if you feel fatigued or any of the previously described symptoms, take a break and slow your heart rate down with deep breaths. While wearing a mask, your body temperature will increase due to the mask trapping in exhaled air, which can lead to exhaustion and overheating. Exactly. Fox News says, is it possible to adjust to reduced oxygen flow? Phillips says, it is possible for your body to get more accustomed to working out with a face mask on the more you do it. However, it won't happen overnight. This is something that takes time with a slow, steady increase in exercise over time. Yeah, slow, steady increase in exercise. Not busting your ass, 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 busting your ass nonstop when every day is like the damn Christmas rush or damn Amazon Prime every fucking day because of the pandemic and everybody ordering online. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, it's important to wear a mask, but you just need to be mindful of your body and listen to it. Everyone's body is different, so some people might not notice a difference, while others might feel more exhausted or lightheaded during their workout. This is why you need to listen to your body and don't overextend. Take things slow if you need to. Well, again, at Amazon, taking things slow wasn't an option. Fox News says, so how do you know if you're getting enough oxygen? Phillips says, if you're not getting enough oxygen, you'll probably start to feel dizzy, lightheaded, and experience shortness of breath. These are signs that you should take it slower or take more breaks in your exercise routine. Fox News says, what types of medical conditions would prevent someone from working out in a face mask altogether? Phillips says, anyone with an underlying respiratory issue or cardiovascular issue would want to avoid working out in a face mask. Examples of this include asthma, COPD, cystic fibrosis, and other heart or lung conditions. If possible, these people should only participate in indoor workouts in the comfort of their own home or outside in total isolation to avoid contact with anyone else given our current circumstances, as these groups are also more vulnerable. Fox News says, can perspiration affect mask safety? Phillips says, if your mask becomes damp, it can be counterproductive and become permeable to particles. So it's important to find a mask that will keep moisture away, which in my case would be impossible. Fox News says, are there certain types of masks to avoid while exercising? Phillips says, an N95 mask is made of very heavy material and filter, so in breathing heavily, this will cause breathing restrictions, and you may be rebreathing carbon dioxide if it's trapped under the mask. And so that's the end of that article. That was actually had some really good ones in there. So I'm gonna end I'm gonna end the article part with this article, and then I'll jump into some of the comments, which I see have kind of blown up out of control. I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to do it. God, what's so many crazy sick people out there, and I'm not talking sick as in like from a virus. I'm talking about like mentally demented sick. Anyway, it says wearing a sweaty cloth mask could cause viruses to thrive, because that's what we want. We want viruses to thrive on our faces and be forced to inhale it for 10 hours a night. Great. We've had a few sweltering days in New York, in central New York, And the result has not been pretty for those wearing a cloth mask to comply with COVID-19 protocol. Unfortunately, wearing a mask is not going away anytime soon because of coronavirus. We need to use one whenever we're in public. I know it makes it hard to breathe, especially while shopping or walking on a trail. It's also uncomfortable when the cloth mask gets damp from our warm breath or soaked from sweating. And now it turns out it could also be bad for our health. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Fast Company reports on a 2015 study that found that moisture retention in masks can create the conditions for bacteria and viruses to thrive. It's even worse if you wear the same mask multiple times before washing it. It says when damp, masks become less effective at preventing the spread of viruses, which is why some states like Pennsylvania explicitly say masks should not be worn when wet from spit or mucus. Continuing to wear a cloth mask can also cause shortness of breath, as cool air cannot reach our lungs. When going out in public, bring several face covers to switch out as needed. How fucking stupid is that? The CDC says cloth face coverings should be washed after each use. They suggest using regular laundry detergent and the warmest appropriate water setting, then put it in the dryer using the highest heat setting or air dry in direct sunlight. I know it's a lot to get used to, but we have to do it to keep ourselves healthy and yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. So now to the comments. If I can even get to any legitimate, well-written and thought-out comments other than stupid trolling shit. Amanda Youngs says, check out Kristen Megan, dude. She designed the protocols around masks for various job sites and adds so much scientific evidence behind not wearing masks. Oh, wow. Okay. Then she also adds in, incorrect, CDC wrong yet again. Let me activate the chat box now. Okay, now it should be on. So I get into some of the comments here. Wow, there's so much trolling bullshit going on. Oh, so Amanda Young said up here, you're speaking truth, my friend. Fellow warehouse worker here. Similar conditions to you, sweaty/exertion-wise. This summer was rough as an asthmatic. LOL, Planet Fitness will have some lawsuits on their hands when people drop like flies, added Amanda Youngs. And then she's urging me to check out Kristen Megan. You know what? I can actually do that right now, live on air, if you're still watching. Amanda Youngs. Let's see here. Kristen Megan. Let's see, maybe I should put Kristen Megan mask. Is this it? Let's see. Okay, so apparently there's some stuff on here. What's this one about? 2 experts expose masks, risks in trusting them. It says Tammy Clark and Kristen Megan talk masks and health risks. They expose government agencies and hold them accountable. Join and support the movement. Stand Up Michigan. And the video has been removed. Go figure. Look at that. Look at that full screen. The video has been removed for violating YouTube's terms of service. What? 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 Amanda Youngs, do you have any links that haven't been removed? She's saying, haha, thanks, dude. Hey, I am. I'll see if I can link a video. She does stand up Michigan YouTube channel. Oh, okay. Do you see it on my screen here? Uh, is this it? How about this one? Is this Kristen Megan TV? Is this her channel, Amanda Youngs? It says Real Deal Media masks while working out, another dangerous mandate. I haven't even seen this. This is an hour and 11 minutes long. Wow. I haven't even heard about this. Let's play a little bit of this, I guess. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go on playing this for a whole hour and 11 minutes. If you want to go check this out, go and look it up. It says Real Deal Media masks while working out, another dangerous mandate. Oh, I forgot to scroll down there. There's a title there. It's from Kristen Megan TV. Let's see. I'm guessing that's her.
I'm just going to give it a moment and allow me to get an array. Oh, the irony. Using a book about Hitler to talk about Whitmer to lift up my camera. Let's see if this is working. I swear, you guys, I tried to do this live on YouTube earlier. And I feel like enemy of the state. My live stream on YouTube I just did just went weird. So I am going to go over some very important information. So bear with me because I have my computer in the background and I also use this as kind of lighting. I don't have my ring light right now. All right, I am just going to begin. Sometimes doing these lives is a little bit difficult because I have 18 years of knowledge, not just in school, 18 years in the field, 18 years of witnessing what happens out in a whole array of different workplaces and under different conditions with different PPE, different tasks. All right. Wow. It's just, you know, a lot of you know, I'm going to get this live and the purpose of this live started in just a moment. But, you know, I'm not in this whole activism thing for likes or follows. I'm not. I come on here half the time not wearing a bra with bedhead. It's not about that for me. It's not about, what do they say nowadays? Clout. I just really had a large outreach. I had an outreach on my Facebook of about 30-something thousand followers. And that outreach is now gone until Facebook accepts my appeal for the loss of my primary account. So I'm saying this because normally when I do lives, by now I would have had about 1,500 people watching. And there's 24. So just please share this. I'm going to upload this video. I'm going to edit out this little intimate moment. I'm going to edit this out when I post it to YouTube so you can share it via Facebook. And if you're going to share it to Instagram or Twitter or MeWe or Parler or whatever other platform you're using, I would prefer that you use the YouTube link because that transfers better than a Facebook Live. Okay, so like this title says, is that Governor Gretchen Whitmer, I mean, we all know, since last, end of March, early April, she has put it forth executive orders. And those executive orders, I mean, what are we on, like 180 now? I don't even remember. I'd have to ask Catherine Henry. But basically, Governor Whitmer just keeps coming down with a lot of tyrannical orders. And I say that they're tyrannical because if anyone has ever spent time in the military or studied the Constitution or the definition of tyranny, what we're experiencing is full-on tyranny and oppression. So today it dropped, I think because of pressure. Governor Whitmer had to come forward and say, yes, fall sports in high school can play. And you can reopen gyms, I believe, as of Wednesday. I'll stand corrected if that's not accurate, but I believe it's Wednesday. So when I started to read the article from Wood TB8, I saw that Governor Whitmer is now requiring masks inside of gyms at all times. showers, bathrooms, walking in, while exercising. This, I can't even say to you the adult words that I used with my family when I saw that this occurred. What I'm about to do is go over with you some information that is not only law, but also information that I've experienced over my 18 years out in the field. I will recap that I've worked in the field of occupational and environmental toxicology, also known as occupational hygiene or industrial hygiene. And what I have done for 18 years is I need to know what every single person does in the workplace, and then job-specific tasks in the workplace. And then basically anticipate, evaluate, recognize, evaluate, and control hazards. And one thing that's very important, and I've talked about this before, the most important aspect when you're talking about health and safety is to understand something called the hierarchy of safety and controls. So the hierarchy of safety and controls, for right now, for an example, we're going to think about a chemical. Let's say we're painting something. So let's say that some jobs require something called technical orders, or they're very specific instructions based on a piece of equipment, how it has to be treated. So we'll just say that we're painting an aircraft part, okay? So if you have paint and it's lead-based paint, that is more from many, many, many years ago, we used lead-based paint. Sometimes it still is used, but it's trying to be phased out. So the first step of that hierarchy in safety and controls is, can you eliminate or substitute the hazard? Well, let's see. Is there an alternative paint that we can use that is less hazardous to human health during the application and coating of the aircraft, whatever part it is? If you can eliminate the hazard by substitution, can we use a safer paint that still provides the same amount of protection from environmental hazards while it's in the air and things like that? Will it still maintain the integrity of the aircraft? Does that make sense? So can you substitute or eliminate the hazard? If you cannot, the next step in that hierarchy of safety and controls is to engineer it out. Can you put in some sort of engineering device? Could you put in, while they're painting, local exhaust ventilation or capture ventilation that will capture the contaminants at the source and pull away from the worker breathing zone? Can you do that? Even if you can apply an engineering control, you still have to do something called air sampling. And air sampling will determine if the engineering control is working. Basically, you're verifying the confidence in that control. On some occasions, engineering out the control does reduce the hazard, but does not get it to a safe enough level. And when that occurs, the next step on that hierarchy of safety and controls is eliminate or substitute, engineering, and then you have administrative controls. And administrative controls are like changes in work techniques, changing how you apply the paint. Also, administrative controls would be training personnel on the paint. Controlling how many people are around the area. So it's admin, just like paper, training. So those are administrative controls. If those still do not eliminate the hazard or control it enough, then the last resort is personal protective equipment, commonly known as PPE. I'm telling you all this because I need you to understand the hierarchy of safety and controls, to understand the atrocity that we're dealing with in the state of Michigan and many other people's, and again, it's true, in democratic states, they're the ones that are dealing with this. And I am not a Republican. So just because I loathe what Governor Whitmer is doing does not mean that I am a Republican. Okay? I am on neither side of that aisle. I am for freedom and individual liberty. So let's dial back to the information I mentioned about gyms. When I saw that Governor Whitmer was requiring masks while working out, I could not believe it. I mean, I could believe it, but I still thought she had a shred of professionalism and humanity left in her. I was wrong. And the reason I say that is because it seems like Whitmer has a team of people who are advising her, who she's going through to run by her new mandates or executive orders by other people. She's not doing it correctly. When you're dealing with this wide scope and array of issues to a huge populace, it is so important to follow a multidisciplinary approach, which basically means that you need people who are subject matter experts. When I say SME, I mean subject matter expert. For example, when she decided to put the mandate out about masks, it would have been behoove her and it would have been professional and ethical to consult an experienced industrial hygienist. I am a senior industrial hygienist. I am degreed in it. I am certified in it. I've been doing it for 18 years. So, I doubt she's consulted with an industrial hygienist when it comes to masks, because if she did, I cannot think of one IH, that's the acronym for industrial hygienist, would have recommended masks for this situation. And you might think to yourself, but why? Because in the field of industrial hygiene, we are to protect the public and employees from health hazards. So we're trained in respiratory protection, selecting the PPE that everyone, if you work in a place and you wear any form of PPE, hearing protection, respirators, masks, cooling vests, FR-rated clothing, if you're an electrician, things like that. That is all filtered through an industrial hygienist who's actually done a hazard assessment of your workplace and the job-specific tasks. So, this whole issue with the masks in the gym. I needed to explain to you what an industrial hygienist is, and I needed to explain the hierarchy of safety and controls. Because when OSHA decided to come out with a respiratory protection standard, it was not just OSHA that governs the respiratory protection program, and a lot of people don't know this. There is something called the Thoracic Society, and this basically people who specialize in understanding like pulmonary functions and things like that. Because if you are an employee and you're in the workplace, and we follow the hierarchy of safety and controls and determine it is not feasible to do everything that I mentioned before PPE. Because again, what is PPE? The last resort. So in order to place you in a respirator or facial covering or any type of mask, we have to make sure that one, the mask that we've chosen, and I'm saying mask because regardless of what anyone's telling you, these masks are PPE. And do you want to know why they're PPE? Because any sort of anything that you're wearing in the workplace that is designed to protect you, not just other people, but you, is personal protective equipment. And why it's not rated by the National Institute of Safety and Health, that's called NIOSH. PPE in the workplace has to be ANSI rated or rated by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, again, NIOSH. So we have to find a NIOSH approved respirator and make sure that you're trained on it, that you are medically qualified, and you understand everything that this mask can or cannot do. You can't wear a certain type of respirator for painting and then wear that same respirator while working around chlorine gas. Like, it's not one size fits all. There's different models, makes, sizes. And there's something you have to go through a medical questionnaire and medical testing, a physical, a pulmonary functions test, a large review of your individual medical history, and then also a review of what are you going to be doing when you're wearing this mask. And what type of climate are you going to be wearing the mask? And most importantly, and this is how it ties into the gym, the biggest part of the exam is that the occupational health doctor will get information from myself as an IH. What is this worker going to be doing in the mask? How much are they going to be exerting themselves? What are they lifting? So, when we think about the fact that we're now being asked to wear masks in the gym, I must tell you, I got physically ill. I sensed it could be a possibility, but I thought absolutely not. There's no way anyone on her team would allow this. Anyone who has access to any information from OSHA or an industrial hygienist or all the studies that have been done on why you have to be medically qualified to wear any sort of facial covering. So, I just want to give you a history. Fire departments. Firefighters are heroes. Those are major heroes. I have great respect for fire departments. I've worked with them in hazmat or emergency responses throughout years. I do their fit tests. I test their suits, all of that. Did you know that when firefighters are wearing the self-contained breathing apparatuses, SCBAs, they have to factor in the extra load and exertion when they are wearing this SCBA? Did you know that the number one reason that firefighters get disqualified is from psychological issues? From anxiety, PTSD, and claustrophobia. Obviously, the main reason is pregnancy, but most people that are trying to be a firefighter wouldn't know they were pregnant at the time, and they get disqualified during physical. And the reason is because when you are wearing a respirator and you are doing extra work and forceful exertion, the mask, whether it's a cloth facial covering, it's an ear loop mask, an N95 mask, a half-face respirator, a full-face respirator, anything that is covering your face and mouth, especially in a tight seal or even just a overlay, because, for example, ear loop masks, you see how they're pinched on the sides? Because, air wants to travel through the path of least resistance. But still, anything covering your nose and your mouth decreases your body's ability to pump oxygen around your whole entire body. Because when you're wearing a mask, your lungs have to work harder to do that exchange of oxygen and the exhalation of carbon dioxide. In essence, doing that extra demand on the oxygen and gaseous exchanges makes your heart rate increase. On average, it makes your heart rate increase by 20%. So when you are seeing people that are usually nurses and doctors that are trying to tell you that there's no adverse effects that result from wearing a mask, they are highly incorrect, because they're just using pulse oximeters and telling you that their blood oxygen saturation is in any way representative to what's going on at the source. See, in the field of industrial hygiene, anytime we do any sort of sampling that has to do with hazardous intake or lack of intake of oxygen, it has to be measured at the source, meaning I need to be measuring in my breathing zone, not the delayed latent effect and not instantaneous reading of using a pulse oximeter, again, which is measuring, has to do with oxygen and blood gases and saturation, right? So I just want to go over, I took notes because, again, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I have firsthand seen people pass out, I've seen people get sick, and I've witnessed deaths while wearing respirators. And people will tell you, well, ear loop masks and cloth masks are not by definition respirators. Correct, because they're not NIOSH rated. But the science and the extra load it puts on the respiratory system is the exact same. If I am wearing an N95 and you are wearing a cloth facial covering, and we are both working out or doing CrossFit, to say I'm cloned, person A and person B, we are still having the same issue because we are impeding, again, those gaseous exchanges. And what happens when you decrease the amount of oxygen that comes into your body? Well, we use hemoglobin to help us deliver proper oxygen to tissues and organs in our body. And what you need to understand is that when you're working out in a mask, the lungs are having a higher workload. And I'm not going to get too deep into the science of it, but when you work out, you get sore from the lactic acid buildup. Well, lactic acid occurs it has to do with the whole respiration, exhalation of getting rid of carbon dioxide. When you are basically jamming a rod into that cycle, that's when you get that cognitive confusion. So I can just give you an example. I used to do work demand analysis and health risk assessments on people who were working in hot environments, doing a lot of work while in respirators. And I firsthand had to pull a man off the line because he began to just sound off. And I thought his oxygen was low and his cognitive function was off. He was working slow, and it was just on an assembly line. It was just an assembly line, but he was moving really fast. I had to stop the work process because industrial hygienists have the authority to stop any work process that they deem hazardous. And I did. I stopped the work process. That's just one example out of many. So that's just going to show you that when you go to get approved in the workplace for a respirator, it's not just, oh, you're going to be doing this and this temperature and lifting all of this. Okay, cool. We'll wear this. That's not how it happens at all. It has to do with your health history, what the job is, and again, what are the parameters in which you're using the mask? How long? What's the temperature? And what are you carrying? So a lot of times in the workplace, when people were doing work in a mask that had to do with a lot of exertion, and I'm gonna compare it to exercising, and these were only 15-minute tasks. And I had to buy people cooling vests. We had to do work rest cycle changeouts. We had to pair new employees with veteran employees, people that have been doing the job for a long time, because their body learned to kind of get acclimatized to this extra demand on the lungs. I just want to tell you for a second, when you go to get a physical to be approved for respirator use, there is a long calculation about VO2 calculations of you being hooked up and doing a stress test and can you handle this load. It's not just here's a mask, wear it. And also it's important to note that people who are over the age of 50 tend to need a lot more oxygen. They tend to have higher respiration rates, and this is known information in the field of industrial hygiene and by occupational physicians, also called OCDocs. So I just want to explain to you that another aspect of this is when you're hearing all this information about masks, step back for a moment and think about all the little tidbits that you hear. What are some complaints? If you wear glasses, your masks are fogging up, right? That's a complaint. You have a headache. You get lightheaded. You get irritable. Well, when you're wearing glasses with a mask, the reason your glasses fog up is because the heat from the exhalation of carbon dioxide gets trapped in your mask, along with the increased respiration rates, because again, your heart is working faster. Your heart rate has increased. I want to go ahead and show you this really quick. It's hard to see. This has to do with the selection of respirators. Can everyone see this a little bit? All right. When we pick a respirator, this is a flow chart. It has to do with, do you need an atmospheric monitoring? Do you need supplied air? There's some respirators that hooked up to a canister with air. Or there's just respirators like a half-face, full-face 3M, and you have to do pressure checks. There's a whole science to the type of respirator that you have to wear. And I want to read something to you that is from a very well-known and large study having to do with why there is a medical qualification that is required to cover your face and do strenuous work. This has to do with the increased dead space volume while breathing. Wearing a respirator mask adds to the dead space volume. This dead airspace added to the anatomic dead airspace requires the wearer to increase the depth and frequency of breathing to obtain the same amount of fresh air. The response to increased dead space is an increase in respiratory rate and tidal volume, and has a consequent increased work of breathing. And this goes on to just talk about how what I just told you with that dead airspace, what that means in layman's terms is basically like you're catching up. And when you're wearing, if you've never worn a respirator or a gas mask, you may not know what I'm talking about. But even if you've just been wearing these facial coverings lately, you know after a long period of time, you can almost feel your face suck back in the material. Your body is doing extra work because it's lost its ability to flow freely. And that extra layer over your oxygen intake causes your body to go into mini panic mode. The most fit and most healthy person with no major underlying issues still deals with this. Now, as time goes by, your body can get used to it. But when you're talking about doing heavy exertion, that is a whole different story. Because I've gone over this before. I went over the health risks associated with mask wearing. And I did this in a live the other day. But it's important to point out the key factors when you're wearing a mask for prolonged use and heavy exertion is you can actually have a heart attack because your heart rate is under so much stress. And this is not me just stating this to speak out against something I don't agree with. I have seen people die while wearing respirators. I've seen people fall out while wearing just an N95 during a fit test. My 18 years of testing well over 10,000 masks and managing OSHA's respiratory protection program for over 76,000 people. That's a lot of people. And managing that program means I had to know why everyone was wearing the respirator. How did I get to the conclusion that they needed to wear them? And why the other hierarchy of safety and controls did not get us to the level in which we could work safely. So when you think about 76,000 people I've managed a program for, imagine all the hierarchy of safety and controls I had to try to attempt to make it to where they didn't need to wear PPE. I've done it and I've seen it. 18 years. I'm going to keep reiterating that. Why? Because every time, even before I did this live, I always research opposition. And I went on YouTube and I looked up hazards of wearing a mask while exercising because I damn well knew there would be some doctor doing an interview. And boy, did I find one hell of a gem. I'm going to need to take a little sip of my wine for this one. This physician tried to say that while wearing a mask while working out is dangerous, in the end, it's better for you. It's better for you because it's training your lungs to adapt and acclimatize to that extra demand on the body. Think about that. That is a blind blanket statement saying that any and everybody who would like to go to the gym, while it may be dangerous for you to wear the mask, in the end, it's going to help you because it's going to train your lungs to deal with the stress. I don't want to climb Mount Everest. Do you want to climb Mount Everest? I'm not training to go hike a mountain. Okay? I don't want my body to acclimatize to extra load on my lungs. Do you want to know why? Because I have lung damage. I have calcification in my lungs. That's part of my medical exemption. My second is PTSD and claustrophobia. So there's 3 really. So now you have physicians on YouTube that are telling you that it's a one-size-fits-all imagination. It's a one-size-fits-all approach, and that everyone should train their bodies to be stressed out so that you too can fight COVID. But I want everyone to understand, again, no disrespect to doctors. A doctor could never be a court-credentialed expert in personal protective equipment without at least being an OCDOC or being a previous industrial hygienist or being degreed or annotated as a certified industrial hygienist. I think I know 2 in my whole career that are IHs that came on, that moved on to be MDs. So the issue with that is you have a medical doctor, which people tend to trust, right? You put your blind faith in a doctor because they're a doctor. I don't want to go off topic, but I'm a huge football fan. I don't care what you feel. That is my escape. I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. This morning, I was watching a show called Good Morning Football on the NFL Network. And they were discussing Kirk Cousins' recent interview where he talked about he's not a fan of wearing a mask. He doesn't think they work. But to make other people feel comfortable around him, he wears them, like when he goes to the store. He basically said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And people took that out of context. Now, Kirk Cousins is a very, very religious man. He's deep into his faith. And I understood where he was coming from. I think he was saying it as, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. But I'm still wearing these masks to make other people feel comfortable. However, I am not afraid of COVID, and I don't think these masks are going to help me. So in the response by some of the panelists, they were continuing to talk about doctors. The doctors say, well, the doctors are telling us. And I actually tweeted them saying, the doctors are not subject matter experts on personal protective equipment or respiratory protection or pathogen prevention in the workplace. They're not at all. If you look under OSHA law and OSHA criteria, you have to be an OSHA credentialed or OSHA certified specialist and professional. I hold 4 degrees in I don't know, like 7 or 8 certifications in my field. And I'm not saying like, whoop, toot my own horn. I'm saying that because a lot of people think if you don't have a PhD, you don't know what you're talking about. Little side note, I started my PhD and dropped out. And want to know why? Because I thought, why am I doing this? I was only doing this because I'm also a media correspondent. And I thought if I had that little doctor before my name, people would listen to me. And then I decided if people are only going to listen to me because I'm a doctor, that's not the audience that I want. So I stopped doing my PhD. I didn't want to spend $60,000 just to make other people feel more confident in what I do. So again, industrial hygienists and environmental health and safety specialists. Some industrial hygienists and safety specialists, like Tammy Harriman-Clark, are also credentialed in PPE. Tammy is one of the few people because she runs her own consulting business, and she has 20 years experience in this field. And again, we learn most of what we know, not in the classroom, but in the field. So Tammy is more specialized in environmental health and safety. And she knows her stuff. That's why I've teamed up with her. And her and I continue to work together to get the information out. Because I am just one person from my field who is not afraid of speaking out. Because I don't work for anybody else. I work for myself. Nobody can fire me and nobody can silence me. Those days are over, and that is why I left the United States Air Force working in bioenvironmental engineering in 2010. Because I was not going to lie, and I was not going to go to jail for anybody. So, I don't want to get off topic. But basically, if you're going to go to the gym next Wednesday, I need you to understand, you should not wear a mask. At all. Do not wear a mask. You have a medical exemption. And do you want to know why you have a medical exemption? Because covering your nose and mouth while you're doing strenuous activity can lead to irregular heart rhythms, cognitive impairment, and if you're going to use equipment, if you've ever gone to a gym, it tells you if you're on certain medication, please do not operate any of this machinery. And I don't care if other states have already done this and there hasn't been issues. I experienced firsthand things you're not hearing in the news that are a result from mask use. But because of memberships that I'm a part of, I get the information. I could go over this whole long list on OSHA's website of how many people have ever been to the ER or died while wearing any sort of facial covering in the workplace over the last 30 years. I can go over all this information of issues where people have passed out or died because they were not medically cleared properly to wear a facial covering. They were not trained on the limitations in usage. They wore the wrong mask and cartridge. Like, training is such a huge aspect. And it just makes me sick to my stomach that we have a governor who knows better, who knows that you must have qualified subject matter experts to make these sort of decisions for a large populace. I want to go ahead now and I want to take specific questions about working out while wearing a mask. And I just want to take a moment to make sure, because this live could be 3 hours. I could go over example by example. The 15 to 20% of disqualifications of mask use are people with anxiety and claustrophobia, any sort of psychological disorder. So for example, I'm going to put myself out there. I have PTSD, anxiety, claustrophobia, and depression. It's all tied to my military service. I tend to work out. I joined boxing. I'm a member of Planet Fitness. I work out so that I don't have to take psychotropic meds to deal with these issues. When I work out, the hormones that are released and the serotonin and adrenaline, it helps me deal. And I get like euphoria. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me good through the day when I can work out. I cannot go work out in a mask. I have a medical exemption. Not only that, but they're hindering my ability to make my immune system stronger because working out improves your immune function, your immune system's function. This is a half-ass effort by Gretchen Whitmer to say, see, I opened the gyms. Who wants to go work out in a mask? Are you kidding me? The amount of thermal stress and heat stress issues that are going to be tied to this is going to be so incredibly dangerous. And, there's a reason that there are AEDs required in gyms. And boy, if you're a gym owner or you go to a gym, I'm not joking. Please be mindful if you're going to put yourself at this risk and understand, even for your sake or other people's, know where these AEDs are hung. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not being false here. Nothing I say is a falsehood. I can't even go over I literally cannot go over the specific issues that I've seen because some of them are court-protected information. And if I tell you, you Google it and then I'll get in trouble and fined. And some of it is to protect certain companies that I worked for that I'm not allowed to speak about. I can't tell you some of the issues that we've had with mask use and respirator use. I mean, come on. Think about it for a second. When you are working in a gym, have you ever worked out in the heat Have you ever done CrossFit? I mean, my husband does CrossFit. People throw up during CrossFit. People have passed out. People have to sit down. The room starts spinning. That's because you have lack of oxygen. It's like when you're working out and you're stressed and you hyperventilate, what happens? Your hands go numb. They lock up. You have a systemic response to your body. When you lack oxygen and you're re-inhaling your carbon dioxide, it's not just about hypoxia. It's not about carbon dioxide poisoning. You don't need to have poisoning before you had adverse effects. If you're rebreathing in your carbon dioxide because of your increased respirations, you can start to get really dizzy. It's the same reason we don't lock our knees. And you can lock up. Do you want to lock up while you're on a rowing machine? Or you're doing burpees and you fall and hit your head? While you're in CrossFit doing deadlifts and snapping up and it drops on your head? My mind, working in health and safety for almost 20 years, I can see all the different scenarios because I've done job demand analysis and health risk assessments on trainers. I've cleared people who have special needs and have medical issues protected by the ADA to be able to use gym equipment and had to have modifications. So my mind just spins around and I see the situations in which I can see hazards occurring and I can see immediate dangerous to life issues. I can see deaths occurring. I can see people hurting themselves, hurting others, losing teeth from falling into other equipment or face planting. I'm not exaggerating here. This is extremely dangerous. Do not wear a mask while you're working out. Don't wear a mask while doing any strenuous activity unless you've had a very, very lengthy health physical. So I just want to tell you this because I'm speaking about that. OSHA 29 CFR 1910.134 Appendix C is the medical questionnaire that you have to fill out if your employer is telling you that you have to wear a respirator. Like, because you are removing asbestos or laying tile or dealing with cement with different silica, things like that. Well, you fill out the questionnaire, and if you have a yes to certain answers, that questionnaire can trigger physical. During that physical, sometimes certain things with the doctor will trigger you to get a chest x-ray, and then sometimes results from that x-ray will result in doing a pulmonary function test or doing a stress test. And sometimes you have to continuously come back and get evaluated. I've had people who've had to wear heart rate monitors while they're wearing a respirator to be able to track the actual load on their body because they have pre-existing conditions. There are so many pre-existing conditions that will preclude anyone from being able to wear a mask. I want to say from my experience, the most common, other than the psychological aspects, again, of anxiety, PTSD, claustrophobia, is a history of a stroke, high blood pressure. Absolutely, pregnancy will just get you automatically kicked off the respiratory protection program in the workplace. And the other has to do with a history of any sort of condition in the respiratory tract, like you had bronchitis or a history of pneumonia. Those are the things that will trigger chest x-rays to determine if your body can handle that extra demand of the respirations. So I could get really, really technical with you all. I don't want to because this will be 3 hours. But I just wanted to come forward and explain how absolutely asinine this is. Under no circumstances should anyone just put on a mask and go work out. I have friends who are gym owners. I usually box. I go to Planet Fitness. Luckily I got a boxing bag for my birthday. There's no way in hell I can do boxing in a mask. I can't wear a mask in the first place, but there's just no way. I'm barely holding it together when my friend Aaron Amato is teaching a class. He owns Title Fitness in Granville. When I'm in class, I haven't been in a while because of my leg surgery, and I have another one coming up thanks to a COVID delay of medical care. That's a different live. But it's hard. But I want to open this up, and I want to take any questions anyone might have. There is just one more thing I would like to address. I did have a request from a friend, and it was to kind of go over this information today And I was actually going to do it this weekend, and then the information dropped about the gyms, and I thought, oh, I have to do this tonight. But my youngest daughter, Moo, Ellis, she goes to dance class, and this year, once I found out that Body Language Dance Company here in West Michigan was requiring the use of masks at all times during dance, I said, oh, hell no. That's not happening. And I pulled my daughter out of dance. And I believe so many parents did that they had to offer a second style of dance through virtual. So my friend, Bethany, wanted some information on the hazards of dancing while wearing a mask. Well, it goes aligned with everything else I just talked about. It's going to increase your heart rate by 20%. It can also hinder your body's proper gaseous exchanges. And in the mask, the constant buildup of re-inhaling your carbon dioxide, and the reason is what happens when we're working out or dancing. We kind of like breathe faster. The mask is blocking the carbon dioxide from being able to escape out of the mask. You're breathing it right back in. And when you're not getting proper oxygen because of that re-inhaling of your carbon dioxide, not only is it dangerous and can cause you to pass out, it can affect your body function because you're not getting the oxygen and the hemoglobin to transport all the stuff to your body tissues and organs. And this is why when you're going to wear a mask, if you're gonna wear a mask, which you shouldn't, because none of these masks are rated to protect you against a virus based on NIOSH standards, they don't. These masks do not protect you from a virus whatsoever. The only thing these masks will do is save you from debris. And if you were to throw up in your mask, it will maintain some of it. Large things of phlegm, but that's not how the vector and the viral load works with a virus. It's shared through little tiny particulates that you can't see. So when you take your mask off, the ones that are trapped in your mask, you're just spreading it around. You're causing cross-contamination. So while working out in that mask, again, soiling the mask, because when you work out, it's hot air. And that hot air will soil and create the condensation, and it soils the mask. When that soiling occurs, even if you're not breathing heavily, that soiling is going to make it bounce back. Your carbon dioxide is just going to get recirculated and inhaled. I don't care what doctor is going to try to counter me. No doctor is credentialed as a subject matter expert in respiratory protection in relation to facial coverings, masks, or any form of respiratory protection. They are not, unless they are also an industrial hygienist. The closest doctor that could speak to it would be an occupational health physician. But even then, they can't even perform their job or give opinions until they get the information from the industrial hygienist or highly credentialed environmental health and safety specialist. Again, like Tammy Clark, because not all EHSs are credentialed in PPE like this. Tammy is. I know. One, because I believe her, and two, that girl's loaded with knowledge, and we've had information, and that girl knows her shit. So I just want to read some of these questions. What about women in labor? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have a right to a safe delivery, and if any hospital is going to force you to wear a mask while in labor, you do not have to wear it. Do you think they're going to shove the child back up your cervix? No, they're not. If you are not getting proper oxygen, guess who's also not getting proper oxygen? The fetus. Do not wear a mask while pregnant. Do not wear a mask while in labor. Absolutely not. Respiratory therapists. Respiratory therapists are not credentialed in the use of personal protection equipment. Respiratory therapists are credentialed in understanding respiratory therapy. I have friends who are respiratory therapists, but when it comes to being a court-credentialed subject matter expert and studying how personal protective equipment can impact the human body, that's not their area of expertise. Some may happen to know the information, but when it comes to being a subject matter expert, they are not. And that's no disrespect. It's just like saying I'm not credentialed in respiratory therapy, but I'm credentialed in when you cover your face and how how it has to do with covering or impacting human health. So our OSHA laws and regulations state by state. So primarily there is federal OSHA. Federal OSHA is like the Bible of occupational safety and health. Now states are allowed to have their own programs. Like in Michigan, we have MyOSHA. MyOSHA may have their own statutes and standards and laws, but they must at a minimum meet federal OSHA requirements. They can be more stringent, but they must meet and align with federal standards. Yeah. Thank you, tired of hearing garbage from breathing experts. I'm not sure if this is a joke or not, but if I need to explain that more, I will. Jay, are you joking, or are you thinking that respiratory therapists are credentialed in understanding how PPE affects the human body? Will cops come steal your baby if you don't wear a mask in the hospital? Okay, well, first of all, cops in this country can seem to do whatever the hell they want to, and then they investigate themselves later. But generally, no. If someone's going to hijack your baby because you didn't wear a mask because you couldn't frickin' breathe during labor, that's a lawsuit that will retire you and allow you to buy a giant mansion on 3 different islands. So your information is along the federal standard lines. It's federal, which means the states must follow that federal information. And they can be more stringent, but must follow the basics. What Governor Whitmer's doing is she's not even following the basics whatsoever. Because the basics, I'm just going to cover this real quick. Some of you might have seen, maybe not, 2 days ago, maybe it was yesterday, I'm not sure. But there was an article trending with the Wall Street Journal where a bunch of engineers and public health specialists got together and decided that it's very important that we use engineering controls. Okay, it was a joke. I got it. So that we should use engineering controls to try to control COVID in classrooms and inside of businesses. What? Are you kidding me? You mean we should have used the hierarchy of safety and controls before we put everyone in PPE that doesn't work? And that we don't have any sort of hazardous assessment to explain why we legally have put people in PPE? Wow. Well, guess what? There's something called the ASHRAE standards. And the ASHRAE standards have to do with architects and safety and health specialists and engineers that work together to determine certain criteria with the HVAC systems in different environments. So for example, in a surgical suite or like an isolation room for like TB patients, there are certain requirements that must occur, whether it's negative or positive air pressure, how many exchanges per hour, oxygen content, humidity, different things like that. I know because I test these rooms with HVAC specialists. That's what I do. I used to do in hospitals all the time. So yes, we know that engineering controls should have came first. Now they're saying, oh my goodness, we should put little devices in classrooms that can help push the airflow out windows. Ya don't say. Yes, no crap. We should use natural ventilation. We should use dilution ventilation. You should put the fans on to push the air through an external escape area, a window, a door, a screen. Like, how many months are we into this scamdemic? You know, COVID is real. Don't take that the wrong way. But what we've done in response to COVID, we never did this for TB. We never did this for SARS. Why did we do this for COVID? Election. Anyway, do you like that? Do you like that cough hygiene? I didn't need the government to tell me to do that. I just knew to do that. See? Gosh, that free thinking, I tell you. All right, so does OSHA regulations apply to businesses of certain sizes? Yes. So OSHA laws, you need 10 or more employees for OSHA to apply. But just because you may have under 10 employees does not mean you still cannot be cited. There are so many escape clauses. There are so many different instances. Like if you have a death in your workplace and you have under 10 employees, you can still fall victim to a citation. Why isn't OSHA saying anything about the dangers of people wearing masks? Well, because OSHA has been weaponized. Also, what you need to understand is OSHA, prior to COVID, is a very, very, very busy industry. OSHA has, I used to be like an adjunct liaison with OSHA and the Department of Defense. I'm an OSHA trainer. OSHA certified trainer means I can train people on OSHA classes. I can do OSHA train the trainer. And I've been to so many Fed OSHA classes. But what I'm trying to get at is that OSHA is so busy. I am so disappointed in OSHA, but I see what they're doing. They're having so much pressure put on them, and they don't have the manpower to write citations for the amount of businesses that are in violation of that respiratory protection standard through OSHA. It's wrong, and they're being lazy. But I have friends who work for federal OSHA, and they are sick about this. They have people reaching out to them, and because they can't, lose their jobs, they have to be quiet, and it's all behind the scenes stuff. They're weaponized. They don't have the time or the manpower to deal with this. I'll just give you an example. Prior to COVID, and Tammy has brought this up, and we've talked about this nonstop. Prior to COVID, if any workplace mandated that an employee cover their face, oh my God. General duty clause, you would be snagged. You'd be fined. You might get shut down. If OSHA found out you had people in masks without proper training, and certain people with pre-existing medical conditions weren't given the right to their occupational health, while not mandated for certain types of masks, like nuisance masks and dust masks, a full medical exam is not required. Training still is. And I guarantee you not one, I'll just give an example. Meyer's right down the road from my house. I guarantee you Meyer has not done an in-service training on all the different type of masks their employees are wearing, what their limitations are, how to store it, how to use it, what are its limitations, when you can and cannot wear it, how do you handle it, how do you properly don it and doff it, which means put it on and take it off, and what is the change-off schedule. I guarantee you no business is doing this. So what I'm trying to get at is that prior to COVID, what businesses are doing now, they would have been cited by OSHA for not following the proper protocols to guarantee that their employees have the right to a safe and healthful work environment. Because that's the whole point of OSHA, is that you have a right to a safe and healthful work environment. Hey, Hot Rod Rodney Arnold is my first Air Force. I can't speak. Was my first supervisor in the Air Force. You feel me, Hot Rod? This stuff's driving me nuts. All right, does anyone else have any questions? I want to field questions for maybe another 5 minutes. I stopped caring about how long my lives are. People can just drop off when they want to. But please share this. I tried my hardest not to swear, and that's really hard for me. All right, go grab some air filters from HVACs in these so-called government-run schools, elderly homes, buildings. Then inspect. Try ultraviolet. Yeah, time to turn on the... Yeah, I mean, there are very low-cost engineering and administrative controls. I'll give you an example of administrative control. When you go to the stores and they have the plexiglass barriers, that's an administrative control. It's not necessarily engineering because there's no, equipment involved. But why isn't that enough? I mean, why not have HEPA filters on these buildings? Change them out more frequently. In my house, we're changing ours out way more frequently. Yeah, daughter works for Meyer. I know they don't have training. I know they don't, and that's sad. And did you know that your daughter has a right to that training? And people keep saying, OSHA does not govern this. OSHA's saying this. OSHA. Let me tell you something about OSHA. This is so important. OSHA can put out letters of interpretation. They can put out temporary directives. Nothing OSHA says or does is law unless it is passed by Congress. And it takes years and years and years to pass a law within OSHA. Just so you know, sometimes when you see hazards I'll give you an example, strontium chromate, which is in a lot of paints and metals. It took OSHA almost a decade to actually be up to date with foreign countries and realizing that they needed to lower the exposure limit. Which I mean is if you were working around strontium chromates because you were sanding, you were allowed to be exposed to so many micrograms per meters cubed if I was air sampling. The hazards were identified in other countries of how dangerous it was, even at the lowest level. It took off a whole zero. And it took us 8 to 10 years. How many people got sick from that? So everyone that has their faith in the government, oh my goodness, we are so behind compared to other countries. And what's most important isn't what the law says, but what are you seeing? It's no different than OSHA having a rule. You must wear this PPE when doing this. Okay, OSHA says that, but if the PPE creates a greater risk it doesn't apply. And the way that you prove that is by doing a health risk assessment, a job safety analysis, and not a single member of the government in any state I have yet to see any information put out by any business that they did a health risk assessment or a job safety analysis to determine that any of these masks are safe in the heat, during strenuous activity, loading, lifting, bending, without taking into any account individual health history. What about the mask in hospitals? I keep having Secure called me. All right, so mask in hospitals. Unfortunately, hospitals are private businesses, so they think that because they're a private business, that they can just do whatever the hell they want. Well, private business or public business or government business, if you have a medical exemption, they cannot refuse you service. Because there's what reasonable accommodation is there for denying you access to your medical health? I'll give you an example. I have to have another surgery on my leg and I don't want it. And it's at Spectrum. And when the lady called me today, I said, I just want to make sure that you're going to honor my medical exemption. And she was like flipping and fumbling over her words. And I stated to her very kindly, I happen to be an industrial hygienist. I know about PPE. And ma'am, even if I could wear a mask, I want you to understand that these are not protecting against the virus. They're not rated to. But I'm protected by the ADA because I'm a disabled veteran. And my medical exemptions are highly documented. And she was so incredibly rude to me. And when I go to this appointment next Tuesday, you better believe I will be live streaming. And if they deny me care, I'm going to take legal action. Because what is the reasonable accommodation? There's no reasonable accommodation. And when someone is claiming a disability that does not allow them to wear a mask, what are you going to do? Do my range of motion test and my consult for my surgery you can't do that over video. No, you can't. That's not a reasonable accommodation. So I don't want to go too far, but basically you cannot be denied entry if you have a medical reason or you cannot tolerate the mask. That's what the executive order says. If you have a medical intolerance, that could be as simple as you get irritable and anxiety and you breathe faster. In my opinion, we all have medical exemptions because we are not all designed to cover our faces and noses without having specific information related to the task-specific and environmental hazards associated with the wear and use. All right. I'm trying to see. Does anyone have any more questions? I want everyone to know too. If you had a hypoxic moment while running a freight wearing a face covering, you lose balance. That's called a near miss. In the workplace, that's called a near miss, meaning that you could have had a further issue. For those of you that have a safety person or an environmental health and safety person in your workplaces, this stuff needs to be documented. It needs to be documented because it's part of their recordables through OSHA. If you have an adverse reaction to wearing a mask, you trip, you fall, you lose concentration and cut yourself, this is all documented. And you have rights under workman's compensation. All right. Technically, they're not. Oh, if anyone's talking about documentation, right. Technically, nobody has a right to ask you for proof of your medical condition unless it's your employer. If you are a customer, nobody has the right to access your medical documentation. And the only time there's a tiny exemption to that is usually related to a service animal. For example, if you're going to go in and have a hearing test done or an MRI, you cannot bring in your dog. It's not allowed because one hearing test, you can't have any outside interference, and it's actually dangerous to you, and it affects the operational, it affects how the equipment is operating. So that's the only time that they can ask, like, do you truly have an issue where you need a service dog? Because we're going to try to accommodate your dog as best possible. Your dog can go here. That's the only time a business can ask. Now, I mentioned before I got asked to go speak in Austin, Texas on October 3rd. And Tammy Clark and I are both going. And I have so many United miles. And they're not taking medical exemptions. That's a whole different battle for another day because I have hundreds of thousands of miles. The only airline that's allowing medical exemption is Allegiant. And what pisses me off is they say that you need a physician statement. Now, I have one literally on my phone because I'm a highly documented disabled veteran. I don't have to show it, but the only reason I'm going to is because I choose to. because I physically cannot drive down to Texas from Michigan because of my leg issue. So this isn't even a choice for me. But they are not required to ask. They don't have any grounds to ask because you don't have a service animal. Yeah, Six Flags, that's illegal. They can't ask for a physician statement for a medical exemption whatsoever. And everyone needs to understand this. Please look up your rights under the ADA. And I covered this before. What blows my mind is where are all the attorneys at when it comes to these airlines saying they're not even going to honor medical exemptions? There's something called the ACAA. It has to do with the Air Carriers Act for those that are disabled. And they cannot deny you service based on your disability. So why is it that this not being able to don a mask because of your disability? Like, where are the attorneys? If you're an attorney, please look into this. The ACAA. It's designed to not allow any airline flying to, from, or inside the U.S. cannot discriminate against you based on a disability. Let's see. You have more spine. Do you want to know why I have thick spine? Because I have seen the most insane acts in my career. I've seen people recommend the wrong PPE. And when I identified the wrong PPE, I was told, well, we can't tell them that they're wearing the wrong PPE. You can't point out the mistake you found because then the union will be mad. I have seen so many ethical issues in my career field. It's why I left big industry. It's why I left working for the government. Because I wasn't just in the military. I used to work for the VA. And then prior to that, I worked in the private sector for a company I can't mention. I mean, I just gave up on large corporate America. There's just so many issues with the ethics of this profession. And companies will hire us, and when we do our jobs, they get pissed. Because when I talked about following that hierarchy of safety and controls, sometimes under the law, when it says not feasible, your excuse cannot be that you can't afford it. You have to highly document a hardship. And that's not how it always works. People want to be like, oh, screw that. We're going straight to masks. That's not how it works. You don't you don't get to jump to the last part of the hierarchy of safety and controls. So, all right. Any last questions? Hey, Tatiana. Tatiana is my girl.
This is actually really great.
Try a different doctor. You know, this stuff with the denied access to healthcare is a major issue that it continues to rear its ugly head. And my mother, who I almost lost her about a week ago because of delayed care and an infection to her face. If you've been following that, I'm not going to go into it, but you can look on my page. Well, when I had to visit my mom in the hospital, well, guess what? I have a medical exemption. And I have a mouth shield. You know, it doesn't, my issue is, and I'm very open about it, I have severe PTSD from a sexual assault in which I was cut. And I had, my mouth and my face was covered. I cannot cover my face. And I'm not going to cover my face. I'm not going to relive my trauma to make you feel safer, to put on a apparatus that is doing nothing for me or you. I also have calcifications in my lungs. I was exposed to some really insane stuff in the military because of failure of my PPE. So anyway, the mouth shield, if we're going to go to the side here, it only comes out to here. So like, I don't feel the pressure on my face. The only thing actually touching my face is this little tiny piece on the chin. I can tolerate that for about 10 to 15 minutes. And, you know, I needed to go to the hospital because I'm the one who works as like my mom's home health aide. I administer her IV every day. Because of my background in medical, I can do that. And I have to give her meds through her PICC line. She's got an infection. It goes right to her heart. Anyway, I almost got kicked out of St. Mary's downtown twice. I just walked right by him and basically was like, cool. If you're going to kick me out or arrest me, I'd love to see the media spin on you kicking out a disabled veteran and an industrial hygienist. A PPE expert. That would have been funny. And I'm not trying to sound like woohoo, like big-headed. It's just funny, right? It's like if you're an expert in something, let's say you're like an expert in automotive engines and you go to get your car fixed and someone's bullshitting you and tries to tell you these things wrong with your engine and making shit up, you'd be kind of laughing on the inside, right? Like, oh, I can't wait for them to find out what I do for a living. That's how I feel. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. This was a very long live, but I just want to summarize by saying Governor Whitmer's latest order of wearing masks while in the gym is the most dangerous thing she's done, even over putting people with positive COVID patients in nursing homes. And the reason I say this is the most dangerous thing is because there's a lot of people who go to the gym that have pre-existing health issues, and they go to the gym to help wean themselves off the medication that they've been on for years. There's people who go to the gym to deal with mental health issues. There's elderly people. There's people who walk treadmills. There's so many reasons people go to the gym. You can have the little treadmill walkers. You can have people in the back, the grunters. At Planet Fitness, they have a lunk alarm if you drop a weight. There's so many reasons people go to the gym. There's people who go to the gym that are really, really unhealthy and majorly obese and have hypertension or hypotension. And my point is, it's not one size fits all. So you're putting these people at a greater risk, a large population. And there's people who have been fiending and just wishing and hoping these gyms would open. My husband and I have similar backgrounds. My husband has 3 master's degrees, occupational safety and health, public health, and emergency management. He is like beside himself. And he can't get active like I am because, unfortunately, he does work for a large company and it's a new job because, oddly enough, he lost his job during COVID, which is strange. The one person who could help the company comply with all the COVID stuff. But, what if I use a thin layer of cheesecloth? Okay, so, you could use cheesecloth, but what I'm trying to explain is anything in front of your face. Even if I just put my hand over my face, like just this much, and I did this all day long, this right here is hindering my, you see, there's air through the sides. You ever slept with the covers over your head and it gets hot? And when you're little and you're scared, did you ever do that? I know I did, and I left just a little bit of piece of opening where my mouth was because I figured the monster can't get me if I can't see him. It was so hot under the covers, and that's because you're breathing in your exhaled carbon dioxide, and it builds up quickly because when you have fear or you're working heavy, the heart rate pumps and the respirations go quicker. If you want to skirt around the mask issue, I don't care if you make it with a screen door. Anything you're putting over your mouth that's not completely permeable and fully breathable can be hazardous to your health. Now, I want to tell you that if you get a job that actually requires the use of respirators, and your company should have a written respiratory protection program through OSHA. And you will see a grave difference in how you were treated with a mask versus an actual certified respiratory protection device certified through the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. You will fill out a medical questionnaire. You'll get training every year. You can ask questions. You'll be implemented work rest cycles. You can only wear the mask for every 20 minutes and take a break. Like there's certain things and there's limits based on your task and the type of mask. So those conditions, it's safer because you're following protocols that were put together by physicians and industrial hygienists and understanding your individual health history and the task you're performing. So please, if you get a job and you're actually wearing like an actual respirator, like say a half face, the pink cartridges, like a 3M 6000 series mask, something like that, it's safe when you're using it under the right guidance. These homemade masks, these ear loop masks, they're just to prevent large droplets. These viruses spread through airborne particulates. You don't see them. It goes right through the mask. It's like farting through a screen door. You're still going to see it and smell it. Like I'm joking here, but you get it. It's so messed up. It's like a soup sandwich. None of this makes sense to me. I don't know why Governor Whitmer's not using a multidisciplinary approach to get her shit together and do this correctly. Because it's one thing when it's violating the rights of all of us, which it does, and it's a whole nother ballgame when you take out the politics and you realize This is a very dangerous one-size-fits-all unethical approach to cover our faces in a false claim that it's protecting you and people around you from the spread. It's the opposite. Because when you're covering your mouth or you're working out while covering your mouth, you are re-inhaling your CO2 because you're not trained on the mask. Your mask is not tested. Your mask is not made of material that is proven to be safe, to be breathable. When you buy sheets that are breathable, it doesn't mean you put it over your head. It means it's allowing airflow so you don't sweat your butt off in bed. Man, people just need to stay in their own lanes. And if you're not sure, do the education. Come on. Please remember to also always follow and reshare Tammy Harrama Clark on Facebook. She's going to be a lifelong friend of mine. We are the sisters in this fight. And we're going to try to do a big video session with different modules and topics for everyone. It got delayed this week because of my issues with my mother. I apologize for that because you guys need this information more now than ever. But please support her, support me, and share this. Share this far and wide. I'm also going to upload this to YouTube, and I'm also going to provide that link. So again, if you'd like to share this on other platforms like MeWe, you want to share this through email or Instagram or whatever platform, TikTok, I don't care, whatever these things are. But anyway, I want you to be able to share this. So thank you for listening. If you have further questions, message me. I'm actually able to see people's messages now because I only have like a couple thousand friends and followers versus the 30-something. So I guess the only upside to that is now I can actually see messages because I was getting about, 100 a day. So they kind of fell to the wayside. So thanks for sticking with me. I apologize if this was all over the place. Again, I don't know what all you do for a living, whether you're a stay-at-home mom kicking ass, stay-at-home dad kicking ass, or you work in healthcare or machinery, or you work an admin job. My point is, you know your job, right? And when you pull together all the years of experience you have in that job with stories about specific cases or tasks or materials, it's a lot, right? So it's so hard to make these videos short. And I do apologize because I know the shorter the better, you keep the attention. But, it's important. It's important to get this information out. So please, everyone, please have a safe evening. Have a safe holiday weekend. If you're watching this and you're in West Michigan, if you're going to be part of these Trump boat parades, please be careful. I saw that there's supposed to be very, very dangerous winds on the lake shore. And while you want to go ahead and stick it to the man and show your support for whoever you want to, don't put yourself at risk. So anyway, everyone have a great evening, and I'm going to enjoy my Malbec because my edible just didn't do it, folks. Anyway, everyone have a great evening. I appreciate your support, and I love you all.
Her edible? Did she just say something about her edible? Okay, guys, wow. I wasn't planning on playing that whole thing out all the way through, but wow. I was just sitting there like, wow, yes, exactly, thank you. That was great. I mean, this video alone should end all arguments, further arguments about the masks. I mean, if anybody actually sits through and watches all of this and still wants to argue with me and saying you should have just worn your mask and sucked it up and been a man and yada, 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 and so you could have kept your job and this and that. I mean, if you still want to argue and after hearing and seeing all of this, you still want to try and tell me that I'm wrong for, basically refusing to suffocate in a soggy mask, then there's just something wrong with you. And I just can't deal with you anymore. So anyway, wow, we're going on nearly 2 hours with this stream. I know IRC Bully is still there laughing at Bitcoin scams. Yeah, no, Amanda, basically I only kept her on for as long as I wanted to keep her on. And then she just kept going on and going on, and I was like, well, yeah, I agree with that too. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to cut her there. I mean, it's just like, and then I just wanted to end up, hearing her whole entire thing out. Uh, she did kind of lose me there for a second, though, with the Trump parades, but that was the only thing, if I may be honest. But everything else was just spot on. I agree with 100%. 126%, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, definitely, I felt very validated with that, because I did experience a very similar thing, as you guys may know, with Amazon. And another video I wanted to do, because basically that video where I called OSHA, the entire call audio, it's like a 30-minute video. If you haven't seen it, go see that. It's on my channel. It's got over 8,400 views, or 8,500 last time I checked. Yeah, that pretty much everybody in the comments of that video, for the most part, it's like at least maybe like 80% of the comments or something, or is like just everyone telling me you should like basically like you should sue the shit out of them, like sue them, and contact this lawyer, contact that lawyer, or you should do this and blah blah blah. And basically they're just all telling me to take retaliatory legal action, and they're pretty confident, I guess, that I have a case. I'm not sure. I guess I would just have to try and contact one of these lawyers or something, find out what they say, and see, how that would be. So Amanda Young seems to relate with me a lot here, saying, yeah, that's how I was too. Me too, with the warehouse I worked at. I watched it. That's how I found your channel. Oh, okay. Great. Nice. Sweet. Yeah, that video has been getting a lot of a lot of views. Missy. Can you guys hear her? Missy. Come here. Hang on, let me use the cat remote. The cat remote is this, by the way. It's a laser pointer. I can make her go anywhere I want. Where'd it go, Missy? Got her. Oh. Well, so much for that. Well, for those of you guys wondering how Missy is, she's really hyper. She just wants to play and go out of the room right now, I guess, or something. So I guess I'll let her out in a minute. She didn't want any petting right now, Amanda. I tried. Otherwise, I would have held her for, a couple of minutes in front of the camera. I've done that before in past live streams, but she just didn't want to go for it this time. I would have sit there petting her and having her meow into the microphone and stuff. She's done that before, actually. It's so cute. She's like, meow. Right, Missy? She's looking at me like I'm crazy. She's like, who the fuck are you meowing at? Yeah, so it'd be funny to maybe send your recording to Chris and Megan. She'd probably rip it to shreds. Huh. Donio Shio said, can't wait for the lawsuits from all adverse health effects from all of this mask nonsense. Huh. Missy, what do you... she just jumped up on my desk right now. She's like... What's your deal? You always do that now. What? What'd you say? Missy? Missy. She's like, Yeah, she jumps down. Oh wow, that cat. She's got quite a personality, I tell you. So I tried twice now to give her some pets. She didn't want any pets. No petting right now. She's like, Oh, okay. Amanda Young said the OSHA call, I mean, that video recording, and rip OSHA to shreds, not you, lol. And Donio Shio said, I hope it's a massive class action and these control freaks get what's coming to them. Oh man, wouldn't that be nice? And I get like a huge payout or something, and I could finally buy that RV that I've been wanting to get, and finally do my Road Trek series, my sci-fi series. Which, by the way, I'm going to be doing a mini introductory series pretty soon. I don't know if you saw that video, but I want to get that off the ground because I want to actually do some like cinematography, filmmaking type stuff, like as professional as I can possibly do it. I'm just like really like passionate about that stuff, and I'm just like itching and burning to do more of that. In addition to these live streams as well, I also want to have like some like behind the scenes footage, all that fun stuff. Show me like my amateur directing skills. Because being a cinematographer, you're like everything. You're like the cinematographer and the director. So anyway, but it's gonna be fun. I might even have to be the boom operator once or twice. So that's gonna be interesting. So anyway, I guess that's pretty much. We're at 1 hour and 56 minutes, so I guess we're right on track to ending this on the 2-hour mark. So, any further questions, comments? Because, I mean, I know the trolls are going to be itching to, argue with me somehow. That because part of their whole agenda is they got to find some kind of way that I'm wrong, and call me out on it and try to argue with me endlessly in circles about it. These stupid trolls, I swear. I guess that they all left the chat, so to speak, earlier. They consider this a snooze fest, basically. They consider actual facts, that back me up. They're like, oh shit, this girl's now backing him up with actual facts. Oh, fuck this, I quit. That was the end of their troll career. At least I hope. Oh, what's up, Missy? What? What'd you say? Missy? Missy? No, don't do that again. No, Missy. Ow. Okay. Oh, she's still right here, though. Missy, you're so weird. Come on, just be on the camera for a little bit. Aw, okay. She doesn't want to be on camera, I guess. What? Did you guys hear that? Missy. Oh, now she's attacking the armrest of my computer chair. Donio Shio says, good luck, man. You're doing good work. And Amanda Young says, knowledge is power. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. I'm sure Missy agrees. She's just too hyper to get on camera and admit it right now. I mean, I've got her to meow on microphone before, so she just doesn't want to do it right now. She's like literally within arm's reach of me. I'm like petting her right now. Oh, now she ran away. All right, guys, about a minute and a half left of this live stream. So, man, that was quite a stream, though. Jeez, I mean, seriously, that should seriously shut everyone up at this point. If it doesn't, something's wrong with you. All these people that want to argue with me, I swear, like she laid it all out. Come on, she's an expert in the damn field for 18 years, for fuck's sakes. If you want to argue with that, come on now. Come on. Amanda Young says, your cat is so cute. Logging off now, dude. Good night. Thanks for your work. Well, thanks for, because that was, that just made this live stream all that much better, including that video from Kristen Megan. I would have otherwise never known about her. And you told me about her at exactly the same time, right when I was talking about this exact same stuff. So, yeah. Wow. Facebook banned her, and the original video was taken down on YouTube. Shit. I hope this stream doesn't get taken down too. Fuck. I guess I better back this up ASAP. As soon as it's done processing. I actually do have the option on YouTube, for those of you guys who don't know. I can download my own videos directly back to my hard drive and back them up. So, because that was too good. So we'll see what happens, guys. Anyway, we just hit the 2-hour mark about 10 seconds ago. So I guess that'll be it for this one. But man, was that a good one, like I said. Oh, man. And there's still a little bit more I had to get to. Oh, okay. There's a Reddit thread. It said, hold on. Let me do this full screen real quick. This is kind of like bonus content. Bonus over the 2-hour mark. Running with a mask, which absorbs sweat, making it difficult to breathe. What can I do? This person says, I run short distances around 5K daily. I tend to sweat a lot, which results in my mask, due to the COVID situation, absorbing this and getting really wet. The wet mask sticks to my face and results in sweat entering my mouth and nose, essentially waterboarding me. Huh, where have we heard that before? Huh. And I'm not the one that wrote this, so you're not hearing it just from me. So all of you trolls out there, it's just you. Everybody else wears a mask and has no problems. They're just fine. Or you're the only one with problems. No, shut the fuck up. I continue to provide proof and more proof and more proof and more proof, and you just ignore it and just keep wanting to insist that I'm the only one. But anyway, it continues. This has resulted in me having to take off the mask after a couple of kilometers. What can I do to ensure that I'm following COVID regulations while running safely? And it's pretty much just, it gets into like taking off the mask, taking breaks, social distancing, try a different mask, that sort of old tired bullshit. And then there was another one, real quick thing that I wanted to touch on. I think it was this video. I wasn't expecting to find something actually useful in one of these videos, but they did make an interesting point, and I believe it was this one. Let me see.
What's up, guys? It's Rob Rast here, and I've got my new bag of fresh, clean teas here. I'm super excited about.
Not right now,
out to be around others. Masks are now mandated if you live in some Ohio counties. Those counties include Hamilton and Butler. But what about the drive to your destination? Medical reporter Liz Bonus takes a look at when you should or should not wear a mask in your car.
Chances are you've seen them. Those drivers on the road, apparently alone in a car, wearing a mask.
Today, the masks are more important than ever, and I know it's very controversial, but we've got to stay safe.
Beverly Stewart is a retired nurse who's been part of this women's ministry group helping to make 2-ply masks.
This is the front, and this is the back, or the inside, and I sew the strips to the inside so that this can go over your nose, and this can go over your chin.
Other than healthcare workers, those type of masks are the ones recommended for day-to-day wearing, especially if you can't keep distance from others. Now, the same rules apply in your car. So say, for example, you feel sick or you're driving with others to a test site for COVID-19. Most sites request you wear a mask. You can't avoid close contact with others.
We are doing everything that is recommended to minimize the spread.
Dr. Stephen Cleaves told me you should also likely wear a mask in your car if, like on an airplane, you have people you don't know riding with you. It also may make sense to wear one in your car if you're going in and out of places. This will help you keep your own hands off your own face.
Mask and hand washing, as you know, has been shown to really reduce the spread of this by probably 90 to 95%.
When not to wear them in a car? Well, think about your car as if it were an extension of your home. If you're by yourself, Probably not necessary. You should also not wear one in the car if it blocks your field of vision. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus reporting.
So if you caught that last part, if it blocks your field of vision, your peripheral vision, you know, I just wanted to close on all of this, this whole thing, this whole ridiculous bullshit of, so that girl, what was her name, Christy, she was talking about impairment due from oxygen deprivation, basically. And so when combined with restricted peripheral vision, you know, your degrees of, you know what I'm trying to say, you know, basically it does, you know, that this was another thing that I never mentioned in any of my previous videos, and I know the trolls are going to hate me to hell for this one, but seriously, there were times that I did like run over my foot or kick the pallet jack because I'm like just having to move so fast and I'm just breathing so hard, and I most of the time I can't even see my feet a lot of times when I'm like running up, you know, with the pallet jack and stuff. And I have hurt myself to the point where I'm kind of almost limping around a little bit, and we're required to report any and all injuries, even as minor as a paper cut. It doesn't matter. But I didn't want to report any of those. I just, you know, I just hated the position that these stupid masks were putting me in. You know, it was making me get hurt, you know, a little bit. You know, I never considered that to be significant until I started putting two and two together, and I was like, well, wait a minute, yeah, you know, especially if I'm breathing so hard, I'm trying to keep up with everything, and you know, and I can't, you know, I'm not always, you know, can't always see my feet unless I'm like this all the time, but then I also got to look ahead of me to make sure I don't run other people over and shit. So it's like, fuck. So I just wanted to close this whole thing with that. And Amanda Youngs apparently agrees with me with this stuff. Can't use logic with the illogical. Their circular arguments and cognitive dissonance is exhausting. Just plant a seed. It's all you can do. That's what keeps me sane. Well, I think, and also having these discussions, you know, finding like-minded individuals who, you know, who are sane and who do understand, you know, this is kind of our refuge to, you know, congregate and vent and, you know, just let it all out in the comment section, basically. Try to ignore all the trolls. Amanda Young saying your car is heavy machinery, bro. So dangerous. Just the oxygen issue alone. Who's going to be liable for car accidents? Yeah, see, exactly. Yeah, so anyway, I know you wanted to get going, so and I want to get going too. I want to actually have some of my quote-unquote depression 2020 jacks that I get the patties from a food bank. A lot of apparently food banks are providing these these burger patties, like pork patties and stuff, pork and beef and stuff. And I'm going to do a separate video on that. So anyway, before I drag this on too long, we're already on 2 hours and 8 minutes. So people don't listen to the truth. Just go along and get along, says Ivan's son. Yep. So I'm gonna close it right there, so we can all take a break, and so I can go and catch a bite. I don't know if I'm gonna do another stream or not before I fall asleep. We'll see. Maybe I might do some coffee and do another stream after this. We'll see. But leave all your comments down below in the comments section, and I will see you all next time. This has been Brian Fritz of Network 126.